Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning, the 14th of December. So today we are going to talk about a missing woman from my country, the UK, Gaynor Lord. Now I've done a couple of live streams about Gaynor. So I did kind of the backstory, just learning about the case. And then yesterday I did a live stream about Gaynor's case and about a missing man who is missing just 18 miles away from where I live, Trevor Farthing. So go and check those live streams out. But I am going to give you kind of a synopsis of Gaynor's case, just in case you don't have a couple of hours to spare. And I want to concentrate specifically on what the media and social media and even the police in Norwich are making of the perceived similarities between Gaynor's disappearance and the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. So, synopsis of both cases, and then I'm going to tell you why I don't feel they're very much the same at all. Let's go. Now, as you might recall, Nicola Bulley went missing from my own county, the great county of Lancashire, on the 27th of January this year. And it sparked a viral response. Within a few days, Nicola's case was known internationally. It caused a massive furore in the small village of St Michael's-on-Wye, with the national media, Sky News and all of those people, the BBC, turning up in St Michael's-on-Wye. There's only a few hundred people live in St Michael's. It's a very small village. If you drive through, blink and you miss it. Nicola went missing after taking her Springer Spaniel, Willow, for a walk. Now, one of the things that strikes me as being incredibly different than Gaynor Lord's case was that Nicola was just doing her normal morning routine. She didn't do anything different than what she normally did. So it was a Friday morning. Her two daughters, aged 6 and 9, go to school in St Michael's. Nicola lived in Inskip, which is about 3 miles away from St Michael's. So whoever drove the kids to school took Willow, the Springer Spaniel, for a walk. So Friday, 27th of January, it was Nicola's turn. So she dropped the kids off at school. She was seen by several people at the school. Someone spoke to her. And, oh, by the way, we got a really in-depth timeline, more in-depth than we'd ever heard when the case was all over the media. When the UK College of Policing released their report, so they did a report of the Lancashire Constabulary's investigation of the case. And we now know just how many people spoke to Nicola on that fateful morning. She walked down Blackpool Road, which becomes Garstang Road at the bridge. She passes two properties, private residences, just houses. They're set back off the road. So if they've got ring doorbells, distance away from the road and the fact that there's a wall would mean that anybody passing by would not be seen by any ring doorbell surveillance that they've got. She also passed St Michael's Church, and apparently there is CCTV at the church, but again it's set back from the road and the entrance to the church is on an angle, so again not going to pick anybody up who's walking along the road. It's a 2.5 minute walk, I timed it, from the school to the entrance of the river path. The footage that you're seeing right now is my visit on the 27th of March, and I'm testing certain theories because even though Nicola was found 23 days after she went missing in the river. So that was Sunday, February 19th. In March, there was still a massive furore going on, particularly on social media, but the mainstream media were still kind of feeding into this narrative of, quite frankly, nonsense. And I think I was probably one of the only ones who continued to follow this case that was behaving, in my opinion, logically about her disappearance and then her discovery. So a member of the public found Nicola's body floating in the River Wyre about a mile downstream of the bench where she went missing. The case still rumbles on to this day. I mean, I've not talked about it at all for months until the UK College of Policing issued their report, and then I did a series of live streams over on my other channel, Michelle Walks, reading the report, like word for word reading the report. So if you haven't read the report and you want it read to you and you want a commentary of it, then please go over and watch those live streams. I understand that if you didn't follow them in the first place, it's many hours that you would need to invest. But the College of Policing report is available. So if you just want to go and read the report, it's about 140 pages, including the appendices. So yeah, crack on. All right, I'll leave the link to that in the description box. So Nicola was doing nothing different in her normal routine. Took Willow for a walk, normally went twice round the field. So there's the lower field and the upper field, separated by a hedgerow. Not a long walk at all. At 9:33, Willow's lead and harness, which were connected together, and Nicola's phone still connected to a Microsoft Teams call, which was in a call with work. Again, nothing peculiar about that. That's what Nicola's morning routine was. If she had a meeting, she would listen to the meeting while she was doing her thing, and still logged in. The main police theory was that she'd entered the river, but they were obviously appealing for dashcam, CCTV, etc., to rule out any possibility of third-party involvement or Nicola just walking off on her own and leaving her entire life behind. Within a few days, I was quickly coming to the conclusion that the police in this instance were right. And if the police were wrong, listen, I would just say so. Look at the videos I'm making about Delphi, right? The prosecution are just running roughshod over the US Constitution and everybody's rights. I don't live in the United States, but I feel it's an affront to my rights as well, because if someone in America is treated badly and the judge is riding roughshod and the cops are riding roughshod over the Constitution, well, what hope does anyone have? And in my country, we have the same rights as people in the US. Our justice systems are very similar. Listen, if I thought that Lancashire Constabulary were in the wrong, I would say so. And the College of Policing were really quite critical of some of the investigation into the disappearance of Nicola Bulley, and I can see their point of view. Overall, though, the investigation was a comprehensive one. The College of Policing didn't have anything bad to say about the search effort. Everything in the river and on land was done appropriately. The appropriate amount of resources, the time it took them to activate certain resources, nothing wrong there. Right? Other problems, yes, that I talked about in those live streams. But in terms of Nicola's disappearance, the big red flag for me that Nicola's in the river was Willow, Springer Spaniel, very intelligent breed and very attached to their human, right? They latch on. They're very sensitive dogs. And Willow was right there. And I did experiments with Cassie that if Willow had been trapped behind the gate, you saw it at the beginning of this video. If Willow had been trapped behind the gate and Nicola had gone out the gate, Willow just would have followed. She was about the same size as Cassie, same breed. Very intelligent dogs. In the UK, the police use Springer Spaniels primarily now, right, above and beyond any other breed, for things like drug detection, electronics detection, a whole bunch of scent work, search and rescue. Use Springer Spaniels a lot because they're small, they're pretty fearless when they're out like hunting or looking for scent. They can get into little places where bigger breeds of dogs won't go. So I was confident, and my first visit was on the 6th of February, and I was confident that she was in that river, and I think she just slipped. It was winter's morning. The embankment is steep, and then that embankment is artificial. So the natural bank then is just a sheer drop down, about maybe 10 feet, 12 feet to the bottom of the river. And what you see when you look over is large rocks. So I think she fell. I think it was a freak accident and she fell. But Gaynor Lord, in my opinion, is very different for this reason. So I'll give you a synopsis, and while we're going through, I'm going to show you just how different Gaynor Lord's disappearance is, in my opinion. And obviously, with Gaynor Lord, she's only been missing now, it's the 6th day. So we know the conclusion with Nicola, and we know that she was in the river. We know she was found 23 days later, and no, that's not a long time to find someone in a body of water, a moving body of water, because the River Wyre is tidal from the weir. The weir is just a little bit downstream of where I'm walking right now. If all eyes hadn't been on the River Wyre, Nicola probably wouldn't have been found for even longer. But Gaynor Lord, okay, let's talk about her case. Okay, so if you're new to Gaynor's case, 55-year-old married woman, 3 grown-up children. She worked at Gerald's department store on the gin counter, which is in the basement. Shortly before she left work and her shift was due to end at 4 p.m, she's seen smiling up at the security camera. She's not got a care in the world. And then at 2:45 approximately, an hour and a quarter before her shift was due to finish, Gaynor left work. Didn't leave work through the front door like a normal human. You know, if she'd told work she had to leave early because she got an appointment, she'd just leave through the front door. And she left through the loading bay where, you know, goods are dropped off, you know, supplies and stuff. And then she's seen running round the corner from her work, and she's caught on CCTV several times. Let's watch the CCTV. It's utterly bizarre. Okay, so this is Norfork Police that have released this. I'm going to play it through in normal speed to start with, and then I'm going to slow it down. So this is her running around the corner from her work. So she's holding her coat and her bag. Got a bag around her shoulder, I think. She's running. Then she's seen heading towards the cathedral in a rush. Cars had to stop for her. So she's not running, but she's in a rush. And then, after she spends time in the cathedral grounds, and we're going to get into that, she's seen now walking from the cathedral up the hill. So she's walking quickly still, walking with purpose, but she's not running anymore, puts her coat on. She's seen on CCTV in other places, but that's what Norfork Police have released so far. So let's slow this down. And I want to show you that, let's play it from the beginning. I want to show you that she's not scared. She's not running from anyone. If you're scared, you're going to look behind you. If you're scared, surely there's a man there training his husky. There's people on the path there, people walking by. If she was running away from someone, she'd be looking behind her, like scared to see if they were following, but she'd just be able to get help. Like, call the cops, someone's chasing me kind of thing. So there's a police car there. If she was afraid, she could flag that cop down. She'd be perfectly safe. So, no, she's not running away. She's running to something. She's late for a meeting or late to meet someone. That's the feeling I get. So completely out of character. Left work early, left work via the loading bay, so obviously she'd not told work she was leaving. Smiles up at the camera before she leaves. Not just the circumstances at which she left her life is very different, in my opinion, to that of Nicola Bulley, who was just going about her normal routine. There's nothing normal about this afternoon because she left work early via the loading bay. She ran away, not scared, running to something. So if we look at the timeline in a little bit more detail, hopefully you'll see what I mean. So this is Norfork Police's website. So I'm going to read you this. This was updated yesterday afternoon. So CCTV footage, Gaynor Lord's last known movements before going missing have been released to help jog the memory of anyone who may be able to provide information. Now, the reason why CCTV couldn't be released in Nicola's case is because there wasn't any CCTV, or at least not that covered the road in that 2.5 minute walk from the school to the river path, so the path into the fields. So police are appealing for anyone who may have seen Gaynor or have dashcam or doorbell footage of her before she went missing. Gaynor left Gerald department store via Bedford Street at 2:45 Friday afternoon and walked along London Street, Queen Street and towards the cathedral. She had not been due to finish her shift until 4 p.m. The CCTV footage shows the 55-year-old walking to and from the cathedral on Queen Street and continuing to walk along St George's Street at 3:49 p.m. near to the Playhouse in Norwich. Gaynor is then seen to walk along St Crispin's Road towards Pitt Street and finally up St Augustine Street at 4:01. The last sighting of her on CCTV before going missing. So they've tracked her entire route from Bedford Street, where she came out of Gerald's at the loading bay, all the way almost to the park. And it's 1.5 miles from Bedford Street to the park where she went in a different direction. If she was just going home early because she felt ill and she just got, she went in the wrong direction. She was going somewhere to something. Police were alerted that Gaynor, a married mother of 3, gone missing on Friday after her possessions were found in Wensum Park just after 8 p.m. She was identified by ID found in her handbag at the scene. Not she was identified, but her belongings were identified. Gaynor's clothing that she'd been wearing when she went missing, including a white shirt, yellow tank top, plus 2 rings, and her mobile phone and glasses, were found in the park at various locations. So scattered about, not all in one pile. Now, the Sun newspaper said that her jeans and her shoes had also been found. Now, the police haven't confirmed that, so I'm going from what the police say has been found. Now, the fact that she left her phone behind, the fact that she left her rings, so her wedding ring, is very telling. All of these items scattered about the park. Not at all the same as Nicola Bulley. We didn't find Nicola Bulley's clothes in one field and a hat in another field and her phone in another field and Willow just running about aimlessly. No, it was all very focused on one specific area where the river Wear is deepest and where the bank is the steepest. This is not the same at all. The feeling of this is not the same. And the police found her coat in the river. So their working hypothesis is that she's in the river. However, they're obviously seeking to exclude all other possibilities. But at the moment, they say there's no evidence that she's come to harm. If they believe she's in the river, she's come to harm, but I don't know what to tell you about that. The park's closed to public now. It's only a small park and it's like fenced, so it's easy to cordon off the entire area. Much less easy to cordon off any area where Nicola Bulley went missing. Specialist teams continue to carry out extensive searches of the land and water. Not Peter Falding. Not Peter Falding creating a furore. The College of Policing, right, dedicated almost an entire chapter in their review to the nonsense that Peter Falding did during the Nicola Bulley investigation. Searches have been carried out in the River Wensum with assistance from the Constabulary's Marine Unit, Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service and the Coast Guard. Specialist underwater search teams from Lincolnshire Police have arrived on site today, 13th. They will be joining Norfolk officers to search the river. Police believe it's likely that Gaynor may have entered the water, but due to the location of where Gaynor's clothing and possessions were found, this continues to be the area that's the focus of the searches. So yesterday they had a tent up. I think that's where some of the possessions were found. Norwich Policing Commander Superintendent Wes Hornigold said, "Today we are releasing the footage of Gaynor's last movements." Okay, so we know this, hoping to jog the memory. Particularly keen, now this is weird, particularly keen on hearing from anyone who may have seen Gaynor in the cathedral grounds. So she's running to the cathedral, which she enters the grounds at 2:50 and then leaves at 3:23. And she's not on CCTV anywhere on the cathedral grounds until she leaves. Now, they'll have CCTV in the cathedral, I'm quite sure. But what did she do? Where did she go during those 33 minutes? It's not clear where she goes inside the cathedral grounds during this time, so we're keen to hear from anyone who may have seen her there. So hopefully they'll have witnesses. I mean, cathedrals are very well visited. Generally, there's always people in cathedrals. We continue our extensive searches, but would appeal to the public to come forward with any information which may help to find Gaynor. In the footage, you can clearly see what she's wearing when she went missing. This is a particularly stressful time for her family, and specialist officers continue to provide support. So Norfolk Police have sought the help of Lancashire Constabulary. I said when I did all of those live streams on the College of Policing's review very recently, I said another Nicola Bulley could come along tomorrow. And would that police constabulary be prepared to deal with that situation? Now, Gaynor's case hasn't gone viral. I think it's popular on TikTok. I had to explain to my son's girlfriend yesterday what the differences were between Gaynor and Nicola's cases because she follows true crime on TikTok. I've got a TikTok account. You know, you can follow me on TikTok if you want. Don't post that much. Gaynor's described as white, 5'6", was wearing a white shirt, yellow tank top with a large olive-coloured coat over the top and a scarf. And she also had jeans and like sneakers or something like on. Blonde shoulder-length hair in a bob. Anyone with information or who knows the whereabouts should contact Norfolk Police on 101 Courting Incidents 427 of 8th of December. And that's a very specific breakdown. I mean, that, just smiling up at the camera, that's weird, that. And then she just goes. A witness has come forward saying that she saw someone who looked like Gaynor doing yoga in the park. So she seemed calm, but her behaviour was a bit off. So it's Miss Richards. She told ITV's Good Morning Britain, to me she seemed quite calm. She was sort of putting her coat down on the floor, sort of performing a yoga pose. It just seemed a bit off at the time because obviously it was starting to get dark. That's the superintendent leading the investigation. I still want to know from her colleagues at work what her behaviour was like that day. Was she more excitable than usual? Was she more scatterbrained than usual? Was she more depressed than usual? Was her behaviour odd in any way at all? Because I don't have a theory on this. I don't know whether she's gone in the water for a wild swim and got into trouble, like half naked. I don't know whether this is purposeful, like a setup, to make people believe that she's gone in the river. and she's run away. I can't put my finger on how I feel about this at the moment. Whereas with Nicola, I had certainty. I wasn't excluding anything else 6 days after Nicola went missing, but I had a main theory. I don't in this case. It's odd. So her half-brother, Alan Weston, 43, who lives in Blackpool. So people are saying, ooh, look, it's near where Nicola Bulley lived. Blackpool's a big town, all right. We are all very worried. It's out of character and we just want her home. Police say the most likely scenario is that she's ended up in the river. I mean, she could be in the river, but how did she... You know, it's not steep banked. If she went for a swim and she got into trouble, well, that's one thing. So there's no evidence that anyone else was involved. I don't think she was murdered. Because a murderer wouldn't have taken her rings off and left them there. If she's not had some kind of, you know, manic episode and gone in the river in some kind of manic episode and got into trouble and drowned, then my theory has to go to, this is staged and she's run away. I have to go there. I do. I'm sorry. I know that would be really upsetting for a family to think about, but I have to go there. I do. But hopefully she's found soon. If she's in the river, it might be a while, but I do hope she's found and her family get answers. Best case scenario, obviously, is that she's alive and well somewhere. And if she is having a mental health crisis, that she gets help. But I don't know. But in my opinion, not the same circumstances as Nicola Bulley. Okay. All right, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget Cold Case Christmas over on Michelle Walks. We're up to episode 14 tonight. So it's the case of Betty Alexander from Missouri. 6 p.m. UK time, whatever that time is in your local time. Check it out. Bye, guys.